welcome to our first unit. So, we're going to be looking at the creative process. So, in this unit, we're going to be talking about the process that you go through to making a piece of art and how we're going to do that not only in urban art, but how we're going to be doing that when most of the time you're doing it virtually. So, the idea though behind the creative process, there's a lot of different activities and stages in the creative process. And what I mean by the creative process are just the stages of making a final piece of artwork. So, as an artist, once you get working and experimenting, you sort of find your own way and your own approach to creating art. And some artists, the actual process of making the artwork itself is the most interesting and most important part of the artwork, as opposed to just the final piece. Sometimes knowing how the art was made helps you appreciate the final piece of artwork in the end more. So we're going to look at the different stages. Now, according to the Ontario curriculum, they've got it mapped out really nice and neat and how you make a piece of art. So these are the different stages here. So what they're saying is that you start here where you're challenged and you're inspired. So that's sort of my job, to give you an art challenge. So I'm going to give you an art project and I'm going to inspire you, and I'm going to hopefully that once I've inspired you, you start to look at other resources for inspiration. Then you start to imagine and generate sort of ideas. Then you start to plan and focus on what you're going to make. And then you start to explore different ideas and you're experimenting with different materials. And then you do some sort of like rough sketch. And then you're going to keep working with that sketch, and you're going to revise it and refine it. And then finally, you're going to end up with this piece of artwork that you're going to present in some format, either online or in an art show, if we could, and you're going to present it to everyone. Or if it, in drama, you would perform it. And after that, then you're going to reflect on the process, your process of making it, what you felt you did well with, what you could do better next time. And all the while you're going through all those stages, is that the teacher is going to give you feedback in each one of those stages there to help you with some ideas. But the most valuable thing is that your peers, your fellow students, at any one of these points can bounce ideas off with you and sort of give you feedback that way. Now, what are some problems do you think there are with this approach? Because there's some things that I really like about the way that they've laid this out. But I don't know about you, but my sort of creative process is a little bit different. And usually the way that I work is I get this idea and I'm so pumped to do it. Something comes in my head. I'm like, you know what, this is going to be awesome. And I'm getting all my materials and I'm ready to go and I'm all pumped, and what's in my head looks pretty darn good. And then when I start going at it, when I start working and making it, I start thinking, oh, this is tricky. This isn't as easy as I thought it would be. It worked out really well in my head, but it's not working out as well as I hoped. And then this is the part where I get really frustrated, where it's on the piece of paper, I'm working away on it, and I start thinking that this is crap. This isn't what I wanted to do at all. This isn't what was in my head. And then I go from there and I start thinking, not only is my artwork crap, I'm crap. Art is stupid. I'm not good at this. Why do I bother? Now, this is the part where a lot of people just stop and they give up. This is the hardest part to keep moving forward. But I promise you, if you keep going forward, I promise you, it always in the end, it'll be okay. I want you to, when you get to that point, I want you to keep working at it. And then you're going to start liking it. And then maybe it's not going to be exactly what's in your head, but what's in front of you may be a little bit different. But then you have to appreciate what's in front of you is starting to turn out okay. And then when you're done, you look at the piece of artwork and you're back to, you know what, I did it. This is pretty good. You've got to trust me. I've done this for years, over and over and over again. If you get past this stage, I promise you at the very end, it's going to be really good. So if I was going to draw what my creative process looked like, it looks way different than that perfect mathematical circle that the school board gives us. And it's sort of like I go crazy, and then something happens in the end. So if I had to write an essay, this is what my creative process would look like. I procrastinate, and then at the very end I panic, and then I'm crying the night before the deadline, but I finally get it done. So we're going to focus on the creative process in this unit. We're going to look at how other artists create, but I want you to unlearn everything that you've done in the past and everything that you've been taught, and we're going to look at some new approaches on the creative process. Now, how we're going to focus for this unit and what we're going to do is under contents. So we're under the creative process. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at all the different stages and how we're going to do this for urban art and digitally. So the first thing we're going to look at is how to create an idea board and how we're going to do the first few stages to get challenged and inspired and start collecting resources. And then we're going to look at how we're going to jot down some of our ideas and do our rough sketches in our I call them black books, but it's just a sketchbook, and I'll go through that. And then we're going to talk about how we're going to present our final artworks and how we're going to do our reflecting and our evaluation, and that's through a digital portfolio. So we're going to look at the idea boards and black books and digital portfolios all in depth, so you know how we're going to use all of those. And then you're going to get opportunity. Are actually going to put all of those three pieces into practice. So we're going to go through the whole creative process and you're going to make your own typography portrait. So let's get started and let's look at our idea boards and how we're going to use those.